Okay, it is October 8th at 7 o'clock, and the Home Rule Charter Commission is convened for our fourth working meeting. Mr. Hodges. First off, we have 7 voting members plus me, so we do have a quorum that we can commence. So I call the meeting to order at 7:01. Mr. Hodges will lead us in prayer.
Heavenly Father, we ask for your guidance tonight, that what we do is in your direction, your sight, and what is in the best interest of the people of Willow Park and guided by you. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Chandler will lead us in the pledge. You can look at the screen if you want.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Public comment. Is there any member of the public who would like to speak this evening?
Ms. Lidget?
No, just keep an eye. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Be here.
In that case, we will move on to approval of the meeting minutes for September 24th. They were distributed to you about a week and a half ago. Does anybody have any comment? Corrections, additions, deletions,
Make a motion to approve the minutes
as presented?
as presented.
Got a motion to approve the minutes and a second from Gwen. All in favor? All unanimous? Okay. And that takes us to the first thing on the agenda, or the next thing is to review the schedule of events. Tonight we are scheduled to complete Article 2 as soon as Mr. Stickland gets here. And we will move on to Articles 3, 5, 6, and 9. Hopefully we will get through all of that material this evening in the next 117 minutes. We do have on our schedule a town hall meeting for a week from tomorrow night. That would be October 16th at 6:30 p.m. at the Willow Park Baptist Church. Rose has promised that advertisements will go out in a variety of ways for that event. One method of doing so, I talked to her about using one of the, they have contracted to put out a number of quick surveys. And I've seen a couple of them myself. I don't know how many more they have, but talked to her about using one of those surveys to put out 3 to 5 questions that would hopefully entice people to want to come to the town hall meeting. Okay. One of the questions I thought of that we've had a difference of opinion on this is, are you in favor of partisan elections or nonpartisan elections? Okay. So I would submit that as one of the potential questions. Does anybody have anything immediately spring to mind they would like to share in that regard?
As far as partisan elections, or just
Survey.
As far as a question for a quick survey to go out to get people thinking about what goes into the charter.
If that's the only in the weeds question that we have, then that sort of sticks out like a sore thumb. And I don't think that should be included in any kind of survey to the public. If that's the only thing we're going out for, we don't have that big of a divide on partisan, nonpartisan elections in this group.
I just simply threw it out as
That's just my opinion.
icebreaker, if you will.
Yeah, I don't think that needs to be included in any kind of survey. I mean, unless we're going to go all the way down to the frame, and then we're going to build a charter based off of survey.
When you
That's
say
not
that,
Yeah, well, if we go down into that kind of detail, yeah, that's kind of letting the survey dictate what we do.
okay, and so what is your suggestion?
My suggestion is that we go out and we ask people what they want in a charter. What's the general consensus? Do they want, I mean, a lot of the things that we've already answered within our group, but it would be nice to get input from, do you want a strong mayor? Do you want a council? What do you want? Do you want the mayor to be in control, or do we want a city manager?
Okay, so I'm going to take a leap here and say, you are suggesting then we ask a question of, have you reviewed the material on the home rule website? So to get an idea of how many people are following what we're doing.
Have I looked at that?
No, I'm suggesting that in order to get the public to tell us what they want in there, I mean, that's a kind of a very open question.
It's a
Say,
very-
blank sheet of paper, please fill in the blanks and tell us what you're thinking.
Well, let's maybe think about it a little differently. You know, Gene, what did you plan from an agenda standpoint for next week? Did you have any ideas
For that week,
for the town hall meeting next Thursday? You know,
Okay.
what did you plan, or did you plan anything relative to that from a content standpoint? Reason why I ask, and I'll just
Right.
throw it out there, is if people have not gone to the website and reviewed it, and they're coming for informational reasons, we could provide them very quickly with 2 or 3 slides that says, here's the charter of the commission. Okay, here's what we're all about. Here's what we've accomplished thus far. And here are the components that the group has worked through and the draft recommendations thus far. And then allow folks to react
Mhm.
to that, you know, and say, you know, is this in alignment with your thinking? Or are you looking for something different? That way we can use the content that we've already worked on as a way to potentially draw out, you know, some opinions, you know, from the group or from the
Right.
audience.
well, no, I had planned that we would present what we have agreed to so far. There will be certain, well, Articles 4, 7, and 8, we're not going to get to before that
Correct.
town hall meeting.
Right.
I was also going to take extracts from the fairly long presentation that Pat Cheshire gave in June,
Yeah.
which kind of explains some differences between general law city, home rule city.
Sure.
Okay. And that would lead us into then a presentation to flow through what we've come up with so far.
And then I would say, okay, you know, we could just then ask for feedback. Okay, you know, feedback on what you've heard thus far, please.
Right. So at this point, I'm not hearing agreement that going out with a survey will be useful.
I don't think the survey we will have. Surveys are only good as the input that you get. And if we get input from people who are not keeping up with this,
Right.
then there are gonna be people who put the beer can down between first and second down, fill out the survey and send it in. Okay? We
Okay.
need to have people who are focused in, if they want to come to the town hall meeting, great. If they want to, learn more about it, they can call you, they can call me, they can call anybody on this. But to get our typical Walmart customer to fill out a survey, I think that defeats the purpose and it clouds up what we're trying to do. We have to be very focused at this time, and we start bringing in a whole lot of other things, and we're not focused anymore.
I understand what you're saying. Again, my suggestion was to use this as an advertising mechanism to get the word out, simply that we're having a town hall
Then
meeting.
let's just send out an ad.
Okay. We will take other steps in that regard.
As our last night going to National Night Out, a couple. A lot of people asking questions. The thing is, most of all the questions combined dealt with where's the communication come in? Whether or not we're general law or we're home rule, where is the communication coming in? We want to hear from our city to keep us updated on everything that's going on. Next thing was,
Transparency and accountability.
pretty much, yes. And the next thing was, what is home rule?
Mhm.
Say, what is home rule?
And that's why we gotta start that town hall.
Yes.
We are a general law city. We have to follow these parameters. We wanna go home rule. We can make decisions for ourselves on how we want things to run.
You know, I don't like volunteering dwindling, people for nothing, but that woman right there speaks loud and clear. And I do believe that she would do great at the town hall, addressing the differences from general law to home rule. Just a broad spectrum. Just,
Your face is not lit up like that.
just, not Dave, not your point. just-
Right.
just-
I can work on that.
Okay, so next week, we're gonna have a town hall meeting. The following week. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We will. Is our next meeting?
2 weeks from today,
22nd.
town hall.
Yeah, okay. We will be going through the rest of the meat of the charter. And then the first meeting in November, we will address an article that tries to address, once the charter is approved, what is the transition process to go from 5 council members, 2-year terms to 6 with 3-year terms? And so there will be some interesting possibilities there. Okay. And when we get through that, the following week, we will have another town hall meeting with a completed charter. That's the plan. Does anybody see a problem with meeting that plan?
No, sir, but if you don't mind me, I'm glad you said that because a couple of people last night, one of the things that they brought up, why are we going from 2-year terms to 3-year terms?
Very simple.
Well, but that's something that we may want to address at the town hall.
That would be perfect to address at town hall, and Gene can go over that very, very easily, because that has nothing to do with home rule versus general law. That gets into the meat, the nuts and bolts of what the charter does. But there are a lot of people who have a lot of questions and will answer them. But a lot of it has to come in time, because there are people who are going to want answers to things that we don't have answers to right now. We have a very good general outline. We have a very good idea of what we want to do, but the devil's in the details, and that's what we're working through right now.
Joey, I'm addressing you, but I want to look right up there and say, everybody that's asked questions, come next Thursday. Ask your questions.
Right. Right. And if we don't have the answer, we'll document it and, the question, and, you will have to, circle back with a closed loop process to make sure that we address it.
I'm never going to be pretty close, I have an answer, so.
That's okay. That's
That's a good point. So on our meeting of October 22nd, one of the agenda items
Yes.
will be, these are questions we were asked, but these are the answers that we can give at this point. So
I thought it was great last night, I've had people come up there and learn that.
I wish I couldn't go to that, but I thought, kind of sad I missed it.
I had people come up there and I said, I recognize you from the video.
That's good.
It is good.
Okay, so,
Just sexy.
yeah, there you go. Anyway, does anybody have any question about the schedule? Any comment about it, any change?
About the schedule, where have I missed in this charter on the ethics review panel?
We haven't gotten there yet.
That's later tonight, that's under general provisions.
Yeah, you're good.
General provisions, okay, good.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's on tonight. Okay. So the next thing is to discuss 6 articles. One of the members was supposed to bring in some commentary about Article 2. I haven't heard from them. So we will, unless somebody wants to make a comment about Article 2, we will table that, or we will just state that.
Ron was not here, and I believe we summed it up last meeting. The only backlash we got was everything pretty much October.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
At the last meeting, most of the backlash we got from the federal government being involved with city business.
Right.
But it did not, and pretty much didn't pertain to us because all we were talking about was streets,
okay.
just streets.
Since everything we're gonna do from this point forward until we wrap up is discuss the content of the charter. I pulled the charter up. So, Article 2. As presented at the end of the last meeting, are there any additional changes that anybody would like to propose?
Tony, what do you feel?
I'm fine with Article 2, a reminder that a lot of this is gonna be rewritten by the council anyway.
It's pretty doggone close. I think we're gonna get a lot more support than we are flack on this.
Well, from the community, I don't know about the council.
I believe the council on, once they read this terminology, the way it sits right now, I believe we're in good shape.
Okay. Moving on to Article 3. And I'm just gonna state, all of the comments that were submitted to me to share with you all, given I got none, so we should be able to get through this pretty quickly.
I read it, but I'm not good on words.
Part 6 right there, Mr. Chair, if you do not mind. Having registered to vote within the corporate, not having been convicted of a felony for which he or she has not been pardoned or otherwise released from the resulting disabilities. Does that mean that once a person's been convicted of a felony and served their time, they're eligible to run for mayor or council?
Not necessarily. Just serving your time does not.
Because that makes it to where it looks like that could be the case. It is. We may want to leave this up to Fritz to see if there's a little bit stronger language that we can put in there.
Well, we might, but at this point, I believe that language, again, you're convicted of something, you're put in jail, you
Right.
serve your time, however much it was, maybe you get paroled, whatever. That does not constitute being released from certain resulting disabilities.
Well, if you're on
No.
parole.
Having served your time does not by itself release you from certain penalties. If you had a fine and you didn't pay the fine, I mean, there's so many complexities in there
Well,
that if you want to enumerate them all, we'll have to add another page.
Well, I
I would like to
understand that.
add that even being able to register to vote, that is a requirement that if you have been convicted, then you serve your time. That's my understanding of even just being registered to vote.
Good point.
So I don't think going beyond that.
Okay. Thank you.
Is the word disabilities the correct word? I interpret that differently, so I'm trying to think of the general public, right?
That sounds out.
Is that the correct legal?
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely. So I think what your general concern here is that you just serve your time and you're good to go. That is not what that means.
Right.
There are many other ways that you can be pardoned or released from your resulting disabilities other than an actual pardon. I can look those up and explain them, but this is pretty general language. And also, can we just, if we're gonna use semicolons or commas or periods, can we just make that all? I mean, this one needs to be a period because it's the last one.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Like OCD.
Okay.
But yeah, that's generally what a charter provision said. That does not mean you get out of the pokey and you can submit a ballot application.
So you're okay with that word?
I am fine with that.
And I'm okay with that word. Thank
Okay, but there, we have gotten to a point where I do have a problem
Yeah.
with 9 and 10 on this list.
Well,
Whether there's something.
I have edit for 3, 4, and 5. If you want to go and.
Sure.
Okay, so with 3 and 4, I was wondering if we could increase the minimum age. I know with the state, I believe it's 18 for both, but I would like to entertain increasing the mayor minimum age to 25 and the councilman minimum age to 21.
Protect state law.
With the home rule charter, it says if a charter states otherwise.
So we could do that.
Yeah, as long as the minimum, as long as we're above it. But. Because you keep that at that feel.
I'm one of those. I'm one of those. but
Yes,
At the
well,
same time, your frontal cortex is not developed. It's like that.
I can feel that. Okay, everybody on that screen.
If most cities have 21 and 18, I don't see why we can't have that too.
And Gwendolyn, you're talking about going to 24 or 25?
25 for mayor, 21 for
Council.
To be a member of Congress, the minimum age is 18. To be a member of the Texas House, the minimum age is 18.
What's the minimum age for presidency? 36?
35.
35. But 200 years ago, 35 was middle age.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, okay. Is anybody else seconding Gwendolyn's proposal?
I think we ought to put that in public view and see what the public also thinks about that, because she brings up a good point. As far as it's I'm on the veins, we need to get some input on this.
Put it into public view. Okay, I'm good with that.
So, like in the town hall next week.
If we, but if we change this text and then we publish it, then we're saying that's what we're
Recommend.
proposing.
Correct.
But we can also do, we can table it for now. Honestly, just, 3 and 4, just 3 and
How
4.
about this?
Hello, Mayor.
Star next to it and say it's up, we can put it up for consideration of a later date. We're not putting anything into stone right
Right.
now.
Well,
I mean,
what
we're
we're
putting it in
doing,
light pencil. And
what we're
sharing.
doing is agreeing that we are ready to post online certain articles that the citizens will be able to read. So what I'm going to do here is I'm simply going to highlight those two sections as something to potentially
Okay.
Well,
increase.
is there anything preventing us from making a decision? A recommendation? As opposed to tabling it and moving on? I mean, should we take the time and discuss the pros and cons now and be done with it, or
Sounds good.
keep rolling? I mean, that, we're gonna have to come back, so.
Well, we also have a lot of ground to cover tonight.
Well, we're gonna do, one thing I keep in mind. We don't take space aside. As what we are proposing within the charter recall.
I know.
We can publish it this way.
Yep.
Exactly like that. And put some notes on there. There is a consideration to raise these ages to 25.
So
Try that for now.
moving on to my thing for number 5, my suggestion. I would like to see the minimum requirement for residency before being eligible to be raised to maybe 24 months.
You said 24 years?
Months
Oh, I was gonna agree with you if you said 24 years.
instead of 12.
And the reasoning behind it.
I just looked up some things and, essentially this needs to be somewhat consistent with a couple of exceptions to the qualifications for office that are listed in the election code. There's a couple of things that the election code allows almost cities to have their charter. And one of them is you can bump up. Qualifications for office are usually just 18 years of age. But you can bump off both the mayor and the council to be 21. And also the minimum residency is 12 months. Oh, I'm sorry, 6 months. But a home rule charter can extend that up to 12. So I don't think the 24-month is going to work under the election code, but we can keep that, or guess anywhere between 6 to 12 months.
That's one thing I was asking. I think it's still election. I thought I read it in there, but
Okay.
If, my feeling about 21-month is, if a person is old enough to go to war and take bullets for this country, he's old enough to come back here and run for city council. And if he's old enough to go and he's 21 years old and he's taking bullets for this country, he's old enough to be mayor. I just hope, my feeling is we just take that off the table. No offense.
That's okay. You don't have to. It's all constructive.
Okay,
that's a good point, Uncle Wayne.
It is a good point.
Yeah.
I know.
It really is.
I'm gonna leave the highlight there just for the heck of it. Okay, this starts off eligibility. A candidate must, : and we get down to item 9, a candidate must, an incumbent seeking election. Must, okay, so these things I think were added after the fact and nobody actually read the English. In fact, these aren't talking about eligibility to initially run, they're talking about
Election.
being reelected. And so what I'm thinking is what we need to do is put a sub paragraph, another B in there It says eligibility for reelection. And I think I sent you the notes on that the other day. That says the requirements for a candidate currently holding any elected position include the following. Any candidate for a city elected position must meet all requirements in 302A, which we just went through. Plus, an incumbent seeking reelection to a city elected position must file for the same elected position presently held. To be eligible to file for a city elected position, a candidate must resign from any elected position other than the city elected position currently held by the candidate. And that is stronger than what's in there. That says if you are an elected official at the county level or some, I don't know, ESD board or whatever, you have to resign.
But
Okay.
I read that as if you're in city council place 2, you have to run for reelection in city council place 2. You can't run for city council place 6. And
Yeah, because Joe Blow is running against you and you want to swap positions.
Right.
That's one of the reasons why that was put into effect.
It's clearer than that, actually. If I'm in place 2 and you're in place 4, and I drive by your house and I don't like the way you cut your grass, and I want to run you off of place 4, I can sign up for place 4, but I have to resign from my current position.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what that says. That's what this says.
They're trying to keep everybody from teetering.
it's open hand, I don't care.
Okay, I will insert that
Okay.
at a later point because we won't take the time right now. So 302B current. Here we have a little problem. All council members shall serve a 3-year staggered term. Council members 1, 3, and 5 shall be elected every 3 years together. Council members 2, 4, 6, and mayor shall be elected every 3 years together. We just went through an exercise that shows that having an election every year is good for the citizens. That says that every 3rd year we don't have an election. And so I would propose that we have council places 1 and 4. The way I described it is elected in years evenly divisible by 3. Council member 2 and 5 and the mayor be elected in each year following a year evenly divisible by 3. And council places 3 and 6 be elected in each year preceding a year evenly divisible by 3. If you can do math, you can figure out what years that is.
Gene, I'm pretty sure that the reason why it was put in like that by certain charters, Fritz, if you don't mind, chime in on this here in a minute if I'm saying it wrong. But they put that in there, and it's not the 3rd year is open. That 3rd year technically is the second to the 2-year term that you need to revise your charter that does not conflict with open election of re-election or open election for city council members.
I hear you, but I'm not buying it, because if you need something to fix the transition from a 2-year term to a 3-year term, that is a short-term thing, and that goes on forever. So I would rather do a short-term fix to accommodate. Okay.
I wasn't going to start drafting transition provisions until I knew whether you were going to go to 3-year terms and how many officials you wanted to go before each year in each election. So.
Right. And we're not doing that
We're not doing
tonight.
that. Right.
We're just mentioning that will have to happen.
Yes, it will. And there will be, as soon as you all decide whether we're 2, 3, or 4-year terms even, I guess, then we can talk about whether we want 3 people per election or 2 per election. I agree that it's good to have an election every year.
Right.
So,
I two and two with the mayor coming up
One,
in one of them.
Right.
And I think that's the best way to do it. That is what we basically had a consensus on before I got sick. Was we had a consensus on that plan.
Yes,
okay? So do you want me to insert this text
Yes, sir.
Yes,
at that point?
Yeah.
So the change will be to replace the last two sentences in the current 3.02B with the 3-year election process that I described. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Anything on C?
Is there anything missing? So if I'm a new council member, open government, right, Open Meetings Act, we talked about before, public information, code of ethics, which I think I saw somewhere, I can't remember if it was in your notes, that the council needs to draft, a set of code of ethics. Social
Yeah.
media is good, cybersecurity is good, budget, finance, parliamentary procedure. Is there anything missing from a competency and a skill development standpoint that we want our elected officials to know and understand? Or does that cover everything?
I think it covers just about everything from my experience. Now, does TML offer training in governmental budget and finance, parliamentary procedure, cybersecurity, and social media guidelines?
I don't know about cybersecurity, but pretty much the rest of it, yes.
As long as we're not coming up with what the training parameters are.
No,
two
not
people from last night, or they're gonna be responsible for discrimination.
so as a leader at a local large company, I have to go through a lot of other training, when it comes to, like he was starting the program, right?
So how many times have you had to take the,
EEO, all those kind of things
how many times have you had to take the dealing with difficult people test?
every year. Every year. So there's EEO, right, standards that have to be, well, they're supposed to be, followed, so. All right, that's why I'm asking, is there some additional topical areas that we feel is an absolute requirement? This is the must list, not the wants necessary.
Well, the council should come up with the ones. And the council should go to the same type of training that the city manager goes through.
Well, the council needs to be trained well enough to know if the city manager has gone off the rails.
If they go through the same training the city manager does,
Then
they
they
will.
should. Yeah. And, Darrell, what you mentioned.
Yeah.
The reference to the code of ethics.
Yeah.
That is the only reference in the draft charter to that topic, which is why I want to add it later, that thou shalt create
Right.
one.
Right.
Okay? All right?
Okay.
So no change here?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that the prohibitions in 303 are possibly somewhat redundant to what we just talked about. As far as eligibility to run and rerun.
As long as there's no conflict, there's nothing wrong with that, any of that.
I saw no conflict.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, mayor powers and duties.
Oh, gee, sorry. I thought we were gonna go through A, B, and C. The provisions.
ABC where?
Right there.
Okay,
There you go.
so I thought we,
that.
okay, yeah. In B,
I would like to entertain the idea of adding those three positions, city manager, secretary, attorney, or an employee with a contract.
Who?
What kind of contract?
It's gonna be hard to do. Stand city liabilities.
There's.
So you're talking about with somebody like a city attorney, if they're contracted in, or bring in like a road crew contractor or something of the sort.
City manager is hired by the city council anyway, so they can be terminated at any time. So it's a
Yes.
different type of thing.
Yes,
I'm-
she,
An example is like our chief of police,
yes.
not being under the city manager, but being under the council discretion, that's already hired and fired and so kind of like that.
So you wanted,
In many cities, the city manager does make the hiring of the police chief and does fire the police chief. Yeah. And that's what should happen here.
We're not gonna agree on that, but
So I want to be real clear. You want to add specifically like the police chief to the list?
that's fine, or just an employee with a contract.
That's the word, sorry.
That's hard. That takes too much control away from the city manager.
Right, so, I mean, one of the great things about our beloved state is we have a general rule of at-will employment.
Mhm.
Especially in positions of public trust, I think the best advice I can give on behalf of the city, my client, is that the general rule should remain, you are an at-will employee. Sometimes higher up, like city managers and police chiefs and sometimes city secretaries, they will say if they want to, in negotiating whether they're going to come to the city or not, they'll say, hey, I'm not going to come unless I have a contract, right? Because those, those positions can be quite political and they want some job protection. So if you're going to attract good candidates to these positions, then you may have to offer a contract, but I don't think it should be required in the chart. Does that make any sense?
Yeah,
Under an at-will state, yes.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with that too. I see where your intention comes. But I think that may be
I think that
too restrictive to implement properly.
Okay, well, at the bare minimum, I would like to see the chief of police being hired by our council. And not the city.
I disagree. You can't separate out certain departments. And the city, the police chief is the head of public safety. He still has to answer to the city manager. And what happens if the police chief in making because I've seen this happen too many times, a member of the police department does something that causes a political upheaval in the city. And instead of having a steady wheel with a city manager behind the wheel, you have a city council that's sort of out of control, like we have now, that gets pissed off and fires the city manager or fires the police chief. That's too much there. Down the road, it's going to cause a problem. It's going to cause a big problem. Huge problem. I think the best thing is to keep the city police department in the same category as public works and health and everything else. And have that person as the department head who answers to the city manager.
Okay. I have a motion to make a change.
I motion that we do not make a change.
Well, okay, we have a second to that motion.
I got a second it for right now on women, because it puts city at liability when we start singling people out. Now we're into discrimination.
Okay, let's see where we are. All in favor? Is that a what?
It's I don't know.
I believe everybody's not really understanding exactly what we're talking about to the full extent of what can happen or not happen.
I kind of wish that this whole discrimination thing would be embraced a little bit more. They wouldn't be discriminating against our mayor so publicly, but there's that.
Yeah, that's a different subject.
I know, I know.
The police department is required by federal law to keep statistics on discriminatory practices in all of their stops and all of their actions. So, and that's a different category of issue from what you just mentioned.
Right. Okay, well, with number C, with C, 3.0 through C. I believe that not allowing council or the mayor to communicate or direct any city staff would create unnecessary barriers for day-to-day operation. So I personally just see a barrier coming in, preventing council and the mayor with being able to communicate and direct.
Yeah, that's close hand on me. I'll walk away from the committee if y'all do that. You have to have a management arm. You have to have a CEO, which is the city manager. They're the only people who have access to the city employees. You cannot have any kind of political element come into City Hall and start directing people what to do. And once you have that, you're gonna have chaos. There's one person in charge, it's the city manager. If you have a problem with that, you go to the city manager. If the city manager doesn't do what you want him to do, then bring it up in a review and take care of it. But to sit there and have the mayor go and give the police chief a directive that's counter to what the city manager does, then we're screwed up.
So we need a city manager who's not so political involved. They're just basically.
Bingo, there are professional city managers who were hired to be CEOs.
So if we go that direction, then we need to make sure that someone's being hired who's not gonna be political and they're gonna be ethical and fair.
Bingo. And that's where the ethics committee will come in.
Bingo. So we're really not wanting the elected officials to deal with lower level employees directly on a well, because that creates a potential conflict with the management stream.
And I can
What
see
we
that.
don't want to do is preclude the employees from approaching the elected officials.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's where the ethics board becomes invaluable. I think. It is. Okay. Well, I mean, I would love to fix all of the world's problems in Article 3. But that's why we have other articles to deal with some of the issues that we talked about. Okay. Does that make sense?
Fritz, I hope this is a message that when this goes to the council, the ethics committee for us is an open hand, closed hand thing. So when the council starts looking at it, please advise them that messing with the ethics committee will really damage this effort. Thank you.
This is your suit. You heard that too, right?
I
Okay.
You know, it's interesting, I had the opportunity to work with good city managers and bad city managers, as has my wife. And with different mayors through the years. And there is a delineation between the duties of the city manager and the council and the mayor. You have a very good city manager. When you notice some simple things, when they sit at the meeting with all the people, they come to the city manager and the attorney do not sit with the city council and the mayor, they sit separately. And they haven't sit any other place, it applies something else.
Correct.
So that's a symbolic thing, but it's very, very important. If you've got a good city manager, what you have is a good business.
Yeah.
His job is to make everything run as smoothly and efficiently as possible.
Right.
It is the job of the city council to listen to the public and vote in what the public wishes to answer to the public and for any new projects, present them to the city council votes on them, and they tell the manager, this is what we'd like to implement. So the manager's the businessman, the city council, they're like the legislators, and the city manager is like the president. But if you have a weakness, either way. If you've got a weakness with the city council or a weakness with the manager, or a weakness with the mayor, you've got terrible problems.
Right.
Or if you have any type of collusion that seems improper, that creates more problems. So they're distinct jobs for doing a separate thing. And when they work together, it's a beautiful thing to watch. That's the key, working together.
The best cities I've ever watched work
Judge, have been city managers who are chief executive officers. Yeah, but I look at it more like a business. Okay, the businesses, city manager, CEO, mayor's chairman of the board, city council's the board, and the shareholders are the voters.
There you go.
And if we look at it that simple, then the rest of this exercise in this part goes real easy.
Should. So, okay, with that note. On to 304, mayor powers and duties. Anybody have any comments that they didn't send to me earlier on this section?
Do we have anything in here specifically that says that the mayor has the authority to break ties and tie?
Yes, it's in there. I don't remember which one, but it is in there.
Well, the mayor gets a vote.
Gets a vote.
Yes, it's vote.
It's the mayor, it doesn't only vote when there's a tie, the mayor gets to vote.
So,
The vote, there we go.
yeah, under C.
Just want to make sure that's there.
I went through this list and there's nothing I will take out and
Under G, I would like to see more of a balance of power when it comes to board appointments. And I would like to remove subject to the confirmation by city council and add some wording of the mayor getting 2 board appointments and the city getting, or am I in the wrong area for that?
this is a general thing on all boards and commissions. So I
Okay,
think if there may be something that would be appropriate,
mhm,
if you're thinking about planning and zoning commission specifically, that I don't recall that that's actually addressed explicitly in the charter.
it would be important.
Most P and Zs are appointed in most cities. Every council member gets one appointment to the P and Z, and the mayor gets an appointment to the P and Z.
I
So
would be okay with that.
You have
Yeah.
5 members and everyone gets their own appointment.
Yes.
So they represent each district. So for
Well,
P
we're
and
not
Z,
doing districts.
huh?
We're
We're not,
doing
but it's
districts.
that
No,
same
but for your,
idea.
yeah, district, it's at large, but
Right.
every seat has their own appointment to the board, so,
I agree with that.
okay. If we can find a way to work that out.
That's a detail in the transition process that would have to be dealt with.
Does it, is it really? Because if you read G, the mayor may make appointments to applicable boards and commissions of the city subject to the confirmation by the council. Now, I don't know, in accordance with state law and city ordinances, I don't know if the state law now spells it out and the ordinances spell it out like was just discussed.
Oh, no, actually, the phrase "or other city ordinances," that should probably be stricken anywhere it appears in the charter, because city ordinances don't trump the charter.
Right.
I just thought of that. Thank you.
Motion to take that out, Gene.
Motion to take.
But,
I'm okay with that. I don't know, that makes sense.
but is there more detail needed to say,
Because how that's currently worded is the mayor may make appointments to applicable boards. Subject to the confirmation by city council. So that's still not mayor gets one person to appoint. That's
Well,
still,
I'm talking like P and Z and stuff like that, P and Z park board, stuff like that.
well, why wouldn't this be okay?
this is, well, this isn't. Yeah.
Okay, Fritz, is there a
Well, we're,
case
So,
where
I mean, the problem is we're trying to make a very general provision about, I mean, probably at least a half a dozen different types of boards that may be controlled by state law. And I've seen it both ways as far as the P and Z, to where each member appoints a person to the P and Z. But the general is the entire council votes on every appointment. And I do know that I believe EDC, has to be a full council vote, so.
so look, go ahead, I'm sorry, I was gonna.
So what you'll need to do is come up with a general rule, okay, that applies unless state law trumps it. And just make that very clear in
Right.
this provision.
But let me ask you this. specifically what I just said about or other city ordinances, that has no place in a charter.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But if, so
I think it
let's
makes-
pull the thread.
It makes that provision a little superfluous if you can just draft a city ordinance to.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Can we pull the thread? So this is a commission. Okay. And it was determined by our mayor. Right? Who's gonna be on it.
Right.
So what happens if the city council does not confirm that the folks on the commission? Then,
Different case.
okay,
What we were created under a specific line item in state law,
okay,
period.
okay.
So-
Never mind. Well, I just said, I was trying to use it as a use case to say, okay, in this case, let's say we're not a commission of something else.
Yeah,
Okay.
in this case, state law covered it.
Okay, but what if state law doesn't cover it? And do we get into an infinite loop now where, hey, the mayor said, appoints the members, but the council doesn't like it? And so now, does it just get into a,
Well,
nasty spiral?
it could, because if the mayor appoints people and they're rejected by the majority of the council, she
Right.
appoints somebody else and they're rejected.
Yeah.
Well, how many US attorneys has Trump appointed that are still waiting to be confirmed? So
That's
yeah,
when the
it's-
election
it's a
process comes in.
standstill until the next election.
I just didn't know if we had to be a little bit more specific than that. So,
I
okay.
don't think we, again, that's not
Okay.
something I think we can fix.
All right.
Okay,
The version I have pulled up, I think is your version 1.02. Do you have that pulled up as well? Because on my laptop, it shows a strike through May and add a shall on my laptop.
where are we looking? May,
Z.
oh, I actually did make a change there. That, the mayor shall make appointments.
Uh-huh.
I think May is a little wishy-washy for a charter. So good catch, Glenn.
So-
Everybody good with that?
So is that a find and replace for all the mays? Do they become all shells? So the mayor shall administer oaths, the mayor shall sign ordinances, the mayor shall make appointments. The mayor may call or special meetings because it's only, as needed. The mayor, all right, shall be responsible. And the mayor shall exercise all duties.
Okay, let's, just a couple of those.
Yeah.
The mayor may administer oaths.
Yeah.
Other people could administer oaths other than the mayor. The
Okay,
mayor may sign ordinances unless the mayor doesn't want to sign the ordinance,
okay. All right,
okay? The mayor doesn't have to call special or emergency council meetings.
Correct.
I have a problem with I, by the way, that falls into the city manager and city manager. You're asking that the city manager runs everything except economic development and growth of the city, guidance for the orderly management of and growth of the city. That's the job of the city manager. That's not the mayor.
So what's there to enable them to work together towards the initiative?
What do you mean, have them? That says the mayor's responsible for providing initiative and guidance to the
I know,
orderly
but that's just
management and
what
growth
comes
of the
to-
city.
That's just what comes to mind. You take that.
Well, you take that out, it goes to the city manager.
but if you think about providing initiative and guidance, the
Then
mayor.
that's the mayor and the council.
Exactly, so the mayor is facilitating, right, strategy development,
That
et
is
cetera.
all enumerated out to the mayor. It's too much power to the mayor. Anything that goes to, the mayor is not responsible for EDC all the time. The mayor, it's gonna get to the point in this city where there's gonna be too much economic development just for the mayor to handle.
Understood.
And that's why I'm saying, but here, we're putting it in the charter that the mayor's involved in all economic development. That's too much.
I don't see anything there that says.
When this becomes a
economic development.
30,000
person-sized city and we have stuff going on. Yeah,
I see guidance, initiative and guidance of orderly management and
and overseeing of job responsibility of the city manager.
I don't see that in the writing.
We have a disagreement on that.
What does that say in the writing? Our the city attorney?
Aye, please.
The mayor shall be responsible for any initiative.
I read that
So
as,
what's the question?
I see that as direct supervision of orderly management and growth of the city. And other people see that as just overseeing the city manager, but I see that as direct micromanagement of the city manager.
I have concerns that that language could be interpreted that way, yes. But I also think that it's so broadly worded and nebulous that it doesn't really have any teeth.
So is it
Either
even
way, it
necessary?
probably needs, it could come out, yeah.
I want to say the word guidance does not interpret micromanaging in any form or fashion, in my belief.
It depends on who the mayor is. I have worked under strong mayors, I've worked under weak mayors, I've worked under very competent mayors and very incompetent mayors. And the ones who are weak and incompetent are the ones who will take that and run with it.
So, does the word initiative give the word guidance too much emphasis?
I think we should just strike the whole line.
Okay,
That takes the nebulism out of it, and it's not really necessary anyway.
do we have a second for that proposal? Okay,
Withdraw the motion.
okay. I'm going to put a highlight on these three words as a point that we may want to be looking at. Okay. And move on.
So just maybe you can clarify for me, G. We're under mayor powers and duties in line G. The mayor shall make appointments to applicable boards and commissions of the city in accordance with state law or other city or in accordance with state law. What is the issue with removing subject to confirmation by city? Because that is basically giving the mayor the ability to have an appointment. So what am I missing in that?
Well, in some cases, that is probably giving the mayor too much. I mean, what we're looking for, and we talked about this at the first meeting, we are looking for a balance between the elected mayor, the elected council people, and the city manager, and there will always be a contest for who has more authority this week over that issue.
Okay.
Okay. And I think there's a balance in that.
Mhm.
No, but
Well, I don't see a balance that I was all getting to.
I think you are looking at a scenario somewhat biased by a specific in a local city currently. And hopefully we will end up getting past that environment. That's one of the goals of getting the home rule charter in place. Okay. So,
Fred, you got something to say? You gotta take it down.
I am not taking it down, right? So what I would say is, look, we just want to give the mayor the authority So this is what I would suggest. The mayor may make appointments to applicable boards and commissions of the city. Take out subject to the confirmation by the council. Hold on, listen to me. In accordance with state law or other city ordinances. So if the state law gives the authority to the mayor makes the appointment. If an ordinance gives the authority to the mayor to make the appointment, and the mayor makes the appointment. Does that make any sense? It just
Makes
kind of
sense.
defers to ordinances or state law. But I think,
I'm still not good with putting ordinances in charge of modifying the charter.
all we're saying is if an ordinance gives the mayor the authority to make an appointment, the mayor makes the appointment. So there are so many, I mean, as a home rule city, you can make up all sorts of boards and commissions. You can have,
We can leave it up to the council and the legislative body to determine how PNC is, although we would love to have each, like we talked about earlier. But by having an ordinance that says for the PNC, the mayor and each council member get to make a nomination and they're voted on by the entire council. Or they make an appointment to whatever the ordinance is, that allows the city council and the mayor to come up with a way for PNZ, parks, any other board that we have come up, public safety board, whatever. Then when that board comes up, the council can make the appropriate ordinance for the appointments for that board. And that's why that would be why that ordinance provision is in there. Am I hearing that right?
that is correct. And I will point out that zoning commissions, the governing body makes the appointments.
Right.
That means the entire city council.
And then this charter would give the mayor a vote, so.
The council approves all of the PNC members.
Right.
The mayor still appoints.
General law.
Governing body of a home rule municipality shall appoint a zoning commission. And then essentially by ordinance, you can make your zoning commission
Okay.
also your planning commission.
So reinstate the or other city ordinances?
Yes.
Is that what I'm hearing?
So if an ordinance gives the mayor the authority to make an appointment, the mayor can make the appointment.
Okay. So,
And you
Go ahead.
You also said that it would be okay to strike confirmation or subject to confirmation by city council.
I want to keep that in there. Because
So
state law says that the city council, at least in PNZ, has to appoint the members of that board. The mayor is one of six. The mayor is not a superseding one of six
Right,
who can appoint anyone that he wants to any position.
okay, fine.
That's a good.
are we good with this?
Yep.
Great. Anything under 305?
Where's my Brits?
I do have something, and everyone looks at me like I'm absolutely nuts, but there's a very, 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 very good reason to have council members, elected officials have some sort of compensation.
Mhm.
Right? Now, I know most city charters and most general law city ordinances say you can be reimbursed for expenses and that's it. And this doesn't have to be big. That could be $5 a meeting. Okay. But once you're in the paid service of the city, there's this little provision of the Texas Tort Claims Act called 101-106 that essentially gives you an absolute statutory immunity for any tort that anybody could bring against you as a city councilman. And that is very, very valuable. I've represented some members of it was a appraisal district board.
Okay,
And
I agree with you 100%, and we have a lot of ground to cover.
okay,
I think we 305 says they can create a compensation.
Right,
Is there?
but some people just think that's ridiculous and we should ban compensation. for
In the
fiscal
2009
responsibility.
version that we came up with, I think we actually said $25 a meeting.
And I would wholeheartedly support that because
So does that need to go in here then?
it
Jake?
does not.
Okay,
It just needs to leave it open for the ordinance.
Okay.
Right. Does anybody else have anything on 306?
In 3.05, is there an issue with adding as approved in the fiscal budget within that? Since their compensation would be in, Just an extra layer.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting thought, but if somebody decided or forgot to put it in the budget, then they're not being compensated, and then the problem that Fritz just told us pops up.
let's say, pay attention.
Well, right. Okay. I did have a suggestion for 306. That we add a sentence that says the city council shall document and post the evaluation criteria for the city manager's expected performance. And I think if David Lorenzo was here, he would probably have made that suggestion himself, being interested in accountability.
Also would like to see the evaluations done twice a year.
I agree.
Well, that's a different subject. The evaluation can happen 10 times a year. But what this is doing is saying the city council shall
Oh, I agree
publish.
with what you, I like what you have. I'm just adding on that we put in the charter that it's twice a year.
it may be more.
That's, but the council. can
Bare
determine
minimum.
that.
Right.
Minimum twice a year.
Yes.
Hmm.
How are the HR policies documented for this city? Does anybody know?
I have not been here long enough, and I'd rather go to the dentist than practice employment law, but I will say that usually there's a personal policy. I do believe I have seen a personal policy.
Because that's where you know, the details, like we're talking about around, you know, a minimum twice a year, and that should be, quite frankly, for that industry practice at a minimum, for all employees should get a mid-year evaluation at end of the year. So, you know, just to touch base, etc. So, like, I guess I'm just curious is, does the employment policy for the city call those things out?
I don't have that from.
Yeah.
But
That would be something for the new city manager to work on.
I'm not sure exactly how to word the suggestion on how many times per year we want this to happen.
Is take out at least once a year to just say, should evaluate the city's manager's performance twice a year.
Okay. Gotcha. Down one, down two, Gee,
I'm not finding.
to the left.
Yeah. Down to.
There you go. There you go.
Take
Twice.
out the at least and just say twice a year. Performance,
How about more than once a year?
twice a year.
Well, that's limiting.
At least.
Okay, at least twice a year. Okay.
Everybody good with changing once to twice? Okay. Okay, any other changes to 306?
Okay, I do have a question for 306.
Mhm.
So we're spiking out the city manager, but there's a number of other positions, right? That we've got the city secretary, city manager, city attorney, right?
I think
Well,
Yeah,
this
and
is
it's just
under, this is
relation
under
to
a
city
paragraph
manager. Yeah, that's
about
true.
the city manager.
Right. But do we, and I can't recall,
We'll get there.
all right, specify the same thing for the others? Or something, okay.
307, because of the other change we made, I think we need to strike or in May in years when no regular election is held. Right?
Yes.
Okay. City council, all powers of the city shall be vested in the city council except as otherwise provided by law or this charter. Okay. It is here that I was thinking would be the right place to add the city council shall by ordinance establish a code of ethics for all city elected office holders, officers and employees, as referenced in section 302C. Everybody good with that?
So
Okay, I'm simply gonna make a note on my stuff over here. Add that. Okay. I have nothing until we get down to 313. And I have no other inputs from anybody from the last week.
311.
311.
311 totally takes the teeth out of the ethics committee.
Can you just scroll up just a touch, Gene, please? Okay, got it.
The investigations part of 11 is exactly what we want the ethics committee to do.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I don't know that we can prohibit the city council from having the ability to also investigate internal city functions.
Well, that's what the ethics committee is to do.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it's a state law, it's city council. Just
I
do
think
that.
the city council has to be able to. Okay, put it this way, the city council needs to be able to police the internal operation of the city. And the Board of Ethics is there to be a watchdog on the city council to make sure they are doing that.
I have no problem with keeping that paragraph there as long as we clipboard that paragraph and we throw it in under the ethics committee. It has the same abilities to do what the city council does in its investigations.
I'm gonna have to think about that one. I don't see the same conflict that you're describing.
I'm not saying conflict. I'm saying that if somebody has a problem, they go to the ethics committee, and the ethics committee can do everything under that investigation thing, including make criminal referrals to the county attorney.
Bring it, what you got? You found something, what you got?
I'm reading that there is already a Board of Ethics provisions in this draft. And it doesn't have comparable language to this about.
But what we're asking is the investigations.
You can put similar language to this into Article 9, which is where the Board of Ethics is created and its powers are set forth and what it does. But But I think this should remain as it is, because it talks about the general counsel.
Let's leave it as it is, but make sure we put that in Article 9.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll get there, but.
If not, we'll
Because
just
if I
put it in
didn't
there
get
anyway
it,
tonight.
but you people will recall that I suggested you send me your comments so that I could turn around and share them back out with everybody. So people would show up here with some opinion of all these instead of being blindsided. This is taking us way too long.
Yes, it is, and I apologize for that.
No, that's. Okay. Under quorum and voting, the typical requirement will be for 4 council members or the mayor and 3 council members, because the mayor gets to vote. So 4 is a quorum. I am recommending that for approval of budgets, approval of tax rates, it requires a supermajority of 5.
I agree with that.
So I sent drafted text out to everybody. Does anybody have any question about that? You didn't get the drafted text, Fritz, so you got a question?
You're asking me if I have a question?
You look like you did.
Well, I think there are already some supermajority requirements. So passing tax rates and passing budgets, I think there are already some statutory supermajority requirements that went into effect this year or the last time. I need to look at that.
Yeah, but this paragraph doesn't reference other state requirements. And just because it doesn't mean they wouldn't apply. But I'm just thinking that it doesn't hurt to be explicit.
So this is the general rule, and when we get down into the finance and budget, we can put some supermajority requirements. Is that, or do you want to put them here? It makes no difference. I mean, if I were drafting it, I would want to put it in a specific article.
Okay, I'll defer that until we look at finance. Thank you. Okay. I don't have anything until 3:16. Anybody else? I was thinking that we have a list of things that emergency ordinances may not affect. I would like to add zoning. The concept of emergency zoning is somewhat puzzling to me.
Need a motion to put that in, or are we just gonna agree to it?
Just everybody is good with it. I will.
I'm not voting, but I'm telling you, I agree.
We got 4 thumbs up and 3
Right.
abstain.
Oh, I'm fine with that.
You did, I saw you.
Okay.
Yes. I got you, I was looking,
Okay.
it's almost married.
Very good. I don't have anything else in section 3, which is good because we just ran out of it. Moving on to section 5.
Skipping 4.
That was not on the agenda.
Skipping 4.
Thank you. 5.
It was technically on the agenda, it just had the wrong title.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it was. But I would like to get to section 9 before we get to the town hall meeting. Because 9 contains the Board of Ethics. Anybody have a problem with that?
Maybe I'm gonna be landing because we're already.
We're getting there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, under nominations and elections, I don't know that there's a lot of changes in section 5. I found 3 little things. Two little things, actually. In 501D, this is kind of on the date of the first regular, I would say, or special meeting. Because a special meeting can be called to canvass the vote and swear in officers. Okay. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Rich, is that right? Especially when it's dealings with the mayor? I was thinking it has to be at a regular meeting, not a special.
I've seen it happen at a special meeting.
Mhm.
And yeah, especially the administration of oaths, you have to do that in a certain time after the canvassing.
Right.
You know, you should run those things.
Yeah, well,
Wasn't hard to talk about Texas codes, period,
I've looked some.
you know, 80,000 pages of it.
Okay, 503. Should there be a cross-reference to 302 A and B that sets up the eligibility requirements for filing for office?
Yes,
And I didn't draft a wording for that. Um. Oh, it does say Article 3. Um. I think it's specifically section 302.
yes, it is.
What one? Two. Get back up there. Okay. So. We do have Article 6 on the agenda. And I have no comments on Article 6 at all. Anybody else?
Not at this time.
Okay.
You got Article 9 now, Gene?
We'll go to Article 9. And I will put 6 on the next available agenda. Oops. Okay. So. Conflicts of interest. Board of Ethics.
Do you see anything in A? I don't see anything in A.
No,
Conflict of interest.
no.
Okay, so we're going to Board of Ethics now.
Shall we just let the office, the ordinance determine how deep the ethics committee can go? Can we have an employee bring a complaint to the ethics committee for something that happens within administration? Or do they take that to HR, or is this just in between? For ethics violations between mayor and city employees, city council, city employees, and city manager and the council?
You touched on a subject that I set a note out on. The language there says on referral or complaint from officials or residents, and I would think that city employees should be added to that list.
I didn't know if we just wanted to make that give it enough wiggle room for the ordinance to take in some of that. To let city staff to determine if employee issues are a human resources or go to the ethics committee.
Well, what I said earlier this evening is I don't want to do anything that would preclude a city employee who might fall into a whistleblower category from going to an elected official. And certainly wouldn't want them to be reluctant to go to the ethics board.
Okay.
So I guess I am making that as a suggestion. If somebody would like to
I like the idea.
follow up with that. Complaint from officials, city employees, or residents. Should that be city residents?
Things that say residents.
Well, what if somebody from Weatherford comes in and has an issue? Shouldn't they be allowed to go to our ethics committee as well?
I think that causes too much chaos. I think that we just focus on our own city. I don't really know why, if they have a grievance,
To the county.
if they have a grievance, they take it to the county.
What if the county has no jurisdiction over the city?
Okay, well, I was just thinking about, I mean, on Mary's point. Not bringing in other variables for the ethics commission. But I also understand your point of view of,
If one of our employees caused a problem was rude, disrespectful, physical violence against one of our against anybody, that person should be able to take that grievance to the ethics committee. If their complaints have not been satisfied by a police investigation.
Okay, so if it occurs within the city. On city
If he
time,
goes to HEB on break and gets something and punches somebody, yeah, that's a violation. Because they're on city time. This ethics committee, I want to be the strongest thing that we do. That if anyone has any doubt that this would be good for this city, that is what makes people want to vote for this thing.
Okay. Going back to the section that we put on hold. We got to this discussion. I'm not sure how it fits in.
I don't think it does. I think it covers everything. I was just premature. I apologize for that.
Okay.
Y'all got it, Charlie.
What?
Okay. So other than this one little change here, I mean,
Is this long enough for everybody?
It pretty much sums it up. I mean, sprinklers.
well, the proof is in the implementation.
Yeah.
So city council shall by ordinance establish an independent board.
How about we take by ordinance out and just say they shall,
No, I want to codify it.
okay? Oh, yeah, by ordinance, it's gotta be codified by, okay.
The ordinance could be fashioned in such a way that it can gum problems to death rather than shoot. So again, it's a matter of the implementation. What this suggests is very strong. I would give the Board of Ethics the power to find, I mean, somebody could attempt to misuse the power of the Board of Ethics and bring complaints in and bring more complaints in.
Mm-hmm.
And the board should have the ability to sanction overuse of the board. Even because this has some authority,
It does.
and I would not want it to be misused either. Okay. So, that could be a little tricky.
How
We
can
want-
how can we take the trickiness out of it?
I don't, if I, having identified that it could be tricky, I did not think up the solution to that. Sorry.
Gene, just one question on this. The city council shall by ordinance establish an independent board of ethics to administer and enforce the conflict of interest, financial disclosure ordinances and the ethics code. Should we not have the ethics code up there? In the first sentence? So it's gonna look at conflict of interest, financial disclosure, and isn't it there to make sure that folks are abiding by the code of ethics that are gonna be written?
Yeah, but that wipes out your personnel policies. Cause that means that everybody's gotta be dependent on the code of ethics versus any kind of, in place personnel policies.
Again, if it's, if we're looking at the board of ethics to be kind of, keeping an eye on, right? That the council, the mayor, right, the appointed folk, how far down do we want to go? I mean, and below the city manager, there should be HR policies and things that, kind of help manage and control, at that level. But we said previously that the council is going to create a code of ethics. So that I would assume that this board is also, responsible for keeping an eye on the code of ethics.
Yes.
Because those code of ethics should be overarching everything, right?
Yes.
What this seems to suggest here is that the people on this board have essentially a type of trial, because I have the same responsibility at the sheriff's office if there's malfeasance or a supervisor says that an employee has been negligent in their responsibility, they could file anything up to class level 1, 2, 3 firing or for that type of thing. And so what you're essentially saying is that you've got a board of ethics that sits there and looks at a violation and they make a decision. And what level of the violation is this? What ethics did they? That's a good point. What are the ethics? What was violated? And how serious was that violation? So that's an issue to be thought about. I think our attorney can weigh in on this somewhat, but I know that we handle that issue on a weekly basis, that there three chiefs that have that job to review those problems.
Mhm.
And the idea is to make the department run correctly and legally and without any undue problems.
I agree with that 100%.
Yes.
Daryl, I'm trying to work in the exact wording on how to incorporate the mandated code of ethics into this paragraph.
Well, I just didn't know, like in the first sentence, right? Independent Board of Ethics to administer and enforce the conflict of interest, comma, financial disclosure ordinances, and code of ethics.
Does council think that, does the council believe that needs to be more specific?
Council really isn't all that hot about this from people I've talked to.
Well, that's,
Do you think this needs to be more specific?
well, okay, let me try this here, because that is, the way that reads, that is conflict of interest ordinances and financial disclosure ordinances. That's what the and is doing. So we would have to say ordinance is here.
Yeah, person. And then at the end, say, and code of ethics.
And the mandated code. of- That what you were looking for, Darryl?
Yeah.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah, I hope council appoints this board and lets the ethics committee help write the code of ethics. But that's another thing.
Completely, right.
Thank you.
Okay,
Impose administrative fines. There's nothing that says there are things that can be fined. That would have to come from the code of ethics, correct?
well, a violation of a financial disclosure ordinance, for example, should have some measurable
Yeah, it should. But shouldn't we just put in there, well, I'm getting nitpicky and I'm happy with what we have.
okay. Well, what we have is 17 minutes till we are required to adjourn. Which is self-imposed, but I think, okay. Does anybody else have anything else in section 9 that,
No.
okay? Does anybody want to back up to any previous section of the articles for our review?
Fred says something.
Yeah, I was just gonna briefly talk about, so I think having a code of ethics and financial disclosure and those ordinances is absolutely, it's a good thing. Now, I will warn y'all that my experience in other cities and my experience with other city attorneys, sometimes ethics codes can devolve into political slings and arrows, right? So I file an ethics complaint against you, you file an ethics complaint against me, it's referred to the code of ethics. Usually the city attorney wants to hire outside counsel to do the investigation, that's not cheap. So sometimes these things can be a lot of work, I'll just say it, put it politely. Another thing I wanted to say, we need to keep away from anything that's in the penal code, because there's a preemption there. We should let the penal code govern that stuff.
Well, I say that we make referrals to the the county attorney and let the county attorney handle penal code.
What I don't want or advise against maybe is putting substantive or too detailed of substantive provisions, ethics provisions in the charter. That should be something that can be handled by the ordinance. And also, in crafting those substantive prohibitions, you can figure out what the remedies might be for violation. I think that
Is this good?
that's general enough to let the ordinance do what it needs to do, yes.
Just out of curiosity, Counselor, how many times have you seen problems like this go to an ethics commission in the city? How often does that generally happen?
Depends on how long everybody's getting along. I have been personally involved. We were hired to do. I know a guy named George Staples. George Staples. You know George.
I know
Yeah. He's still alive, too mean to die. But he had several ethics. He was hired by the city attorney for the city of Grand Prairie. Garland. And there was a huge fight up there about development. You know, some people want it, some people don't. And the council was just filing all sorts of ethics complaints against one another, and the city attorney, would always hire George to conduct the investigations, and,
What's the most frequent ethical violation filed?
so people are always conflict of interest, it's the big one. So how that is crafted in the eventual ordinance is gonna be very important, but I think the charter provision is doing what it needs to do. It is mandating that this is important. It is saying we need to have an independent board administering an ordinance. But as far as the substantive details of what go in the ordinance, I think you need to leave that to the council at the time.
That's council's job.
Okay. Any sections anybody would like to back up to?
In 2012, the meetings of council, I think the mayor or 2 council members may call a special or emergency meeting. I think that number of council should be raised to 3 or 4, since we're at 6.
I like what you're saying, but when you have, let's say that we have a tornado come in and rip out the north side of town.
Okay.
There are times that you need an emergency meeting. And she's the only one who's around.
Mhm.
She should have the ability to call the emergency meeting. That's one thing that the mayor should be able to do without a problem, is call an emergency meeting. And if she's not available, the mayor pro tem can do it. If neither of them are available, then you can have 2 council members who can call the emergency meeting. But there are times when you have an emergency meeting, it's because they really need an emergency.
So you have that under the mayor's, power of the mayor's, so that's already in there on that.
We have been very blessed in Rural Park for decades not to have the need to call an emergency meeting. But Charlie's right.
This more from a special call meetings.
Emergency meeting and special call are 2 different things.
Yeah.
I know. They were included in the same sentence, but with the special meeting, I think having at least 3 councilmen call a special meeting. Would be.
Good point. I guess I didn't catch that myself. The mayor or 2 council members may call an emergency meeting if needed.
Mhm.
The mayor or 3 council members may call a special meeting. Is that what you're suggesting?
You said.
You're about at the stage, yeah.
Mhm.
Mayor can't.
I'm good with that. Everybody else good with that? I'm sorry.
He was asking whether that's the mayor and the extra council meeting members or just the mayor or councilman. It's definitely more. Because the mayor has to have that ability.
Yes.
So
I make a motion.
pardon,
How you said it was great. We all.
mayor or 3
I didn't see that right.
It's okay.
council members may call a special meeting.
So,
Of the council, the mayor or two council members may call
An emergency.
an emergency meeting.
And take out the of the council.
Right, just.
Mayor or two council.
Or do we need that just for clarification?
Yeah,
I was looking at the precedent.
I think that extra ink's not gonna cost that much. Okay, any other items?
so. This might be nitpicky, okay. I'm the mayor, I'm on vacation,
Where are you?
or I'm out of town.
Exactly where it is. We didn't say, in the absence of the mayor pro tem may call the meeting.
I don't think we have to everywhere that's, I mean.
Well,
That's the enumerated power of.
Yeah, yes, it's not available at all, man.
When the mayor's out, then the mayor pro tem's all.
where I was going is, okay, I'm out of town. And there's shenanigans going on. So a couple of the council members get together and call a special meeting so that I can't be there to waive my vote or to use my vote.
Yeah, could happen.
Did happen. So that,
For the ethics.
well, that at least leaves it wide open for shenanigans to continue. And I don't, I'm not buying.
Well, we didn't get talking about the recall provisions yet.
I know, but I'm throwing it out to the commission as it's happened recently. So do we want to leave it wide open so that the shenanigans can continue?
Well, the shenanigans can continue even if you made it 5 council members.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know how
I got you.
to, I mean, Article 12, thou shalt commit no shenanigans.
Yeah, no.
That's exactly what you're saying.
Well, but then in a previous paragraph, we also said that the mayor owns the agenda for the meeting, so, or the mayor.
Right.
Yeah.
I get it.
If the mayor's not there, then who owns the, I'm just. You know, snarky, so.
Right.
I mean, we've seen the behavior.
Good stuff. Yeah, I have to. Okay, we are at almost 6 minutes to 9.
Right.
I have tasked Stu to update the text of the charter and provide it to be posted online in its current state of progress. Y'all, I will notify you when it's posted. And what I would like is please submit to me comments, recommendations for change of the text, either additions or deletions. And I shall compile And we probably need to boil that down to 6 or 7 slides.
General versus home rule?
Yes,
Chandler,
yes.
Well, that's what.
appointed or told me. That's the word.
Okay.
I'm gonna be there.
A week from Thursday, a week from tomorrow. Okay.
I'll try
It's not, it is a town hall for us to acquire feedback from citizens. It is not a meeting for us to be taking action in,
Right.
so we don't even need a quorum,
Right,
actually.
but it'd be good to be very social.
Feedback.
Yeah.
Let's all try to take notes, such, and then we'll pull the notes together, because it's a lot easier than just having one person trying to.
Don't really.
Where's yours?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Somebody has to
Yeah,
get yard.
Has anybody thought of has anybody thought of an action item that they are willing to volunteer that they're going to be attempting in the next week and a half?
Besides reviewing.
That's not that's not a volunteer item. Okay, we can adjourn early then. If I hear a motion to.
Yes.
Fourth time, motion to adjourn.
Good for it.
Very good, thank you, Paul.